I've got no doubt that Maggie's scouring the countryside for the world's best tomato right now. But for me, I've got $2 and I'm after the squishiest, oldest tomatoes I can find. Your tomatoes are too good. You got any nasty ones? I'm after poo. Poo. They're beautiful, but I've got to make soup and they're too nice.
To make soup?
Yeah. No, they're too nice.
They're too good.
Have a look, customers. Roma tomatoes here. Beautiful, ripe Roma tomatoes. Don't miss out on these lovely tomatoes now, customers. Have a look here.
They're beautiful, but I'm after sauces. Have you got anything like not so nice?
Yep, I've got some ripe tomatoes for him. Easy.
All right. How much?
90 cents.
Yeah, charge me $1.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Cheers, buddy.
No
Thank
problem.
you. I think Maggie's going to freak out when she sees my tomatoes, but when she finds out what dish I'm doing, I'm sure she'll understand. Maggie, I know you're passionate about tomatoes, and I feel like I'm committing tomato heresy, but it's all about the bad tomatoes.
Well, are they bad or are they ripe?
They're really ripe, and this is a dish that I do. I'm doing a tomato rasam, which is like an Indian minestrone. It's like...
Okay,
you know,
that puts it in context.
well, it
An
does,
Indian minestrone.
That's your bean.
Okay.
It's a split pea and tomato and the kitchen, everything in the kitchen cupboard, basically.
Okay.
But I expect you're doing some really... I'm the trash end of today.
The trash end. Well, later on, I've got a few surprises. I'm doing something with really ripe tomatoes too, but I'm going to do a tomato jelly, but with virtually no cooking.
I love tomato jelly. I love it.
Good.
So I'll be eating your jelly. This one's one I regularly cook, and I love it because it's so simple and it's not much to do. You just grab yourself a couple of pots, and basically it doesn't matter what order you do this in, and you don't really have to weigh, you don't have to measure. This is a yellow dal, and you could use a yellow split pea, you could use urad dal, you can use any sort of pulsy number. So just put in some ginger, you don't even have to peel that for this one, and some turmeric. And that's pot number 1, and a touch of salt. And pot number 2 is all of my rubbish tomatoes, which we've now established aren't really rubbish.
They're not rubbish.
Some coriander root, which is another layer of sour. And this is tamarind extract, but you could use a real tamarind pod.
Well, I'm going to love this. I love sour.
Oh, I do too. And you know how if you over sour something, you can get it palatable with salt. And just one chilli, just chucked in there. A little bit of garlic.
Oops,
and it doesn't really matter. Probably half a clove will do it. And just give it a bit of a head start by giving it a bash. And I confess I don't even skim my garlic for this dish because you get to eat all of these bits of rubbish, and I like that. And then some cassia or cinnamon, just chuck that in. And then all of your seasonings, which is basically, and I always say this, 2 parts coriander to 1 part cumin, which is a pretty standard balance. And you can actually smell that, but it's probably lost in the mix.
It's lost because I've got this cold, but...
More turmeric.
I'm smelling.
The turmeric's good. That's nice turmeric. It's got a good smell. And now for the worst smell in the universe.
I can get that.
Yeah.
What is it though?
That's asafoetida, which has the nickname Devil's Dung. This is very medicinal.
Okay.
And some salt. And the final thing is some curry leaves. So it's a very aromatic sort of mixture. And I'm even going to put the stem in there too, because I like everything going in this one. And I think I've managed to empty everything from every cupboard into the pot. About half a litre to 800 mils of water. And then all I do is put these 2 pots on to boil and probably give them both an hour until I've got pretty well everything broken down. So that's me for now, done. I'll just pop those on and then I'm background now.
Mine is just so simple, it's almost an embarrassment.
Oh, this is simple, it's just got a lot of rubbish.
It's got a lot of bits and pieces. Because this is the perfect time for these really beautifully ripe tomatoes, and because you're adding so many beautiful sour flavours to your tomato, but I'm wanting to keep this pure tomato. So I guess I'm making a tomato juice And then I'm going to make it into a jelly, but the juice first. I'm wanting all this pulp. I'm not just wanting the juice. All I'm going to do now is put this through the strainer. But while I do this, perhaps I'll just take a little bit out immediately to warm it. Just a little bit, because the more temperature I put on that, the more I'll lose the flavour. And at the same time, I'm going to go with these 4 2-gram sheets of gelatin that as soon as this is warm, I'll stir in.
So you're still going for a soft sort of jelly?
I'm
still.
going for a soft jelly, but I don't want it to collapse either.
Yeah.
But if it's not soft on the mouth, then it's not worth eating.
Yeah, it tastes like pencil erasers then.
I'm adding some salt and pepper. I'm now hardly any temperature there. I've got that nicely dissolved. All the gelatin leaves, you can see absolutely nothing left. Now I'm going to pour this in and really mix it around. And it's got that beautiful freshness of flavour from not being cooked, except for that last little bit.
It's the most refreshing flavour,
I think
isn't
it's
it?
fabulous. I'm going to put this in the fridge now to set. Now, I prefer to set overnight, just to be sure, but otherwise 3 or 4 hours.
Okay, well, while that's setting, I could probably put this together, and I'm jumping the gun. This should really be, the ginger should be a little bit softer. The lentil's nice and mushy though. And this little witch's brew here, this probably needs another half an hour, but it's edible and it'll be tasty. But I've got to actually do a little bit more.
More ingredients.
Yes, and it's kind of a thickening. It's called a tempering. And what you do is you get some ghee, and this will all make sense. It's like making a roux, really.
Okay.
Now, oil would do for this, but I love the flavour of ghee. It's got, I don't know, just a depth, a richness. These are lentils, and I'm going to make lentil flour. This dish is so thin on the palate with all of the acidity.
Okay.
But what goes in at the end is mustard seed. You just give it a quick pop, and not too much heat because you'll bitter those up. A bit of cumin, again, garlic chips, and my favourite, curry leaves. And the smell that you can't because you're a sickie, but it's just garlic and curry leaves.
I'm getting some.
And cumin. It's just a beautiful combination. You just get a little bit of temperature, not trying to really cook the garlic, just soften it a little bit. And then, this is the stage I was saying about the roux. So pop that in. It's not a massive amount of thickening you're after, it's just a little bit to give it a bit of body.
Okay.
So now it's a matter of getting all of this and whacking it into one. So the mushy lentils, chuck them in to the tomato tamarind mix, and then this will fizz a bit. Pop that on top, and now bucket load of coriander in there. So that's it, I've just got to bowl that up.
Well, I'll get my tomato and my added ingredient. I decided because it's sort of Indian summer like autumn, isn't it?
Yeah.
And prawns. So I'm just going to douse them with a bit of good extra virgin olive oil. Basil. Basil's got to go with tomato.
Oh yeah.
Even though prawns have been cooked with salt, I need a little bit more sea salt, a bit of pepper, and I'll just toss these around for the final little bit. And this is the moment of truth. We have a lovely jelly here that's just set, but will it turn out? Normally, to turn out a jelly, I'd put it into a bowl of hot water. But if I do that, it's going to further increase the chances of it failing. But just keep on going around until you kind of feel it loosening.
But you'd rather have a little bit of appearance forsaken for that beautiful texture, wouldn't
Absolutely. And instead of a flat plate, just in case it fails, I've got a soup
Plan
dish.
B.
Plan B. There's always plan B. Okay. Talk.
I think
Tell
it's
me
gonna
something.
it's gonna come out. It has come out.
See, and Simon is right. I want that wobble.
We
that
say
wobble.
when the waiter carries
Yes,
it,
yes.
if it doesn't actually move,
You've
and it might look
overset
beautiful,
it.
but
And we're just going to pile these on top like that.
that's a dish.
Very, very simple. Couldn't be simpler.
That's fantastic. I don't even want to bowl mine up. I've just got a bowl of muck.
Mine's just pretty,
Oh,
that's all.
let's have a
the
taste.
flavour.
Oh, that's just a great texture. It's just gonna totally dissolve.
And did it separate? A little
Yeah.
bit of oil.
That's great.
My palate has finally found something that's alive.
It's a great way to start a meal.
Yes.
Great starting note.
And if you're going to eat something like this outside, make sure everyone's sitting at the table, because if you've got this wobble on your jelly that is absolutely perfect, I can tell you it will also melt very quickly.
Yeah, that's gonna
So
last.
have all your friends there, have it in the middle of the table. And the other tip is don't make it too deep. The
Really?
deeper you make it, the more difficult it is to set. Now, I know that's going to do me good. I just
Well,
know it.
It is a witch's brew, and it's got all those good things.
You saying I'm a witch?
Well, I'm just thinking you've got a cold and it's just perfect because it's got garlic, it's got ginger. It should be really sour and then finish with saltiness.
Okay. I'm getting aroma.
Yeah, it's working. It's really sour. And that for me is a little sort of side
Oh, I
to,
love it.
Yeah, it's
I
and once you get going on it,
Sour is the best thing.
I've
it's
finally
a
found
positive. It's a
someone that-
positive. And the chili might be there, but it's certainly not hitting
No, it's
me.
very background.
Yeah.
I finally found someone that likes
I love sour.
because a lot of people don't like this dish, but I love it.
Today I'm visiting Andrea Hoffman in the Adelaide Hills, and I want to see her heritage tomatoes. In these old-fashioned plants, there are just so many shapes, sizes, colours, and differences of flavour.
You've got so many tomatoes here. How many are you growing?
I this year I've been very conservative. I'm only growing about 45 varieties. I mean, there are about 8,000 varieties out there. Some of them have been grown since 1600. I mean, I think that's amazing.
Oh, look at that. What a beauty. What is that?
That's a lemon boy.
Lemon boy.
It's really pretty. I really like it. It looks like a lemon.
Now tell me, what have you done here with your little gauze bags?
Well,
Like mittens on a baby?
Well, I call them tomato condoms. I put them on before they start opening their flowers.
Yes.
And then I can safely say that's a lemon boy seed. It's not cross-pollinated.
Andrea, what interests me is your watering system.
Yeah, I only water every 7 to 10 days. Every plant gets about 1 to 2 litres.
The less water you give, the more the tomato is almost starved of water, the better the flavour.
It's a lot more intense
Yes.
with the lack of water.
What a fantastic depth of colour here. What are these called? I don't know them.
They're Jaune Flamme. They're one of our favourite plants. They're good producers. They're very tasty.
And what about this huge, not quite ripe?
Yeah, that's the giant tree tomato. I can't wait to taste it. It's the first fruit and I'm really excited.
Now here's one I love, the green. What are this called, this
That's
one?
the Moldovan green.
This is the green being unripe tomato, and look at the luster and the markings on that. Wow. Can I bite it if I can
If
squeeze
you
it?
want to.
Wow. It's so good. And I know you don't spray, so it's okay.
You can pick whatever. Oh, maybe I shouldn't say that.
You heard her. I can pick whatever I
No,
like.
I didn't finish that.
Simon, just look at my bounty. I mean, isn't it fantastic? This is the right time of the year. The amazing heritage tomatoes. And from this, you should have come with me. To Andrea's garden. Ah, yes, well, they're green zebras. But some are from my garden and others. Tigerellas.
Some of my favourites would have to be these guys.
Paul Robeson.
Paul Robeson.
Aren't they beautiful names? Black Russian and heirloom orange.
But look at that colour, just
And
from tomatoes.
It's all about colour and flavour and texture and ripeness and perfection. And because of that, all I have to do is toss them all together. And of course, what I've done here is mix up all my colours and different shapes and sizes. And good tomatoes have got to have great extra virgin olive oil, a bit of fresh oregano. Of course, it could be basil. I like red onions because I still want a bit of texture.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to mix all of that around. Some salt. Now, even though I have beautiful sweetness, I'm going to have a little bit of vincotta or balsamic, but not very much. Crushed black pepper. These are beautiful tomatoes.
Oh, they are gorgeous.
They are just absolutely beautiful.
And look, you don't even have to work your...
I don't have to do a thing other than just put it all out. See those lovely colours?
That's just gorgeous.
And I thought to make a whole meal of it, I've got some local soft cow's milk cheese, and there we have a dish without... How many minutes did that take?
2. Gorgeous.
So what are you up to now?
Oh, look, I feel ashamed. Because that is gorgeous. That's showing you how good just a couple of combinations can taste so brilliant. Oh, gorgeous. Anyway,
I'm just going to put some of the prettier ones on top. I'm not playing with it. I
that is
wouldn't
just
play
right,
with it.
Maggie. Sorry, I don't want to cook anymore.
That's cooking when you're not cooking.
That's a main meal, though. I'm continuing the theme of a bucket load of tomatoes in another way, and it's a kusundi, which is probably... A jam's probably not the right thing to say because it's not that heavy on sugar. It's more of a cross between a sambal and a chutney, I guess, in between. All I've got is some garlic and ginger, which has been grated up, some tomatoes that have been skinned and just diced up. That's a kilo or so, I'd say. This is the only important bit. It's a very good malt vinegar with some mustard seeds that have been soaked overnight to soften them all through. And that's probably the only important thing you have to remember here. The quantities are fairly irrelevant. A bit of sugar, about a cup of sugar, and quite a lot of oil. And what you do is once the oil is hot enough, you're going to put in a few spices, and quite honestly, you could choose whatever spices you want, but I've gone for my favourites, chili.
Chili.
So,
chili.
chili.
You're putting chili and chili?
Yeah, because it's this will give you more of a throat heat, and that'll give you more of a lip heat. So you've got to get the whole
You
lot.
absolutely denature your palate.
Basically, yeah. So some turmeric and a lot of cumin, and just you can smell that coming through in the oil, and as soon as it gets to that stage, I guess I say once it ceases to be gritty or becomes aromatic. The beauty of this thing is you get all of your produce, you get it prepared, and then you don't have to do anything, because I'm not even going to cook off the garlic and ginger. Throw in the tomato. Normally I'd cook the garlic and ginger out, but I don't care, because this thing's going to stay on the stove until it's absolute mush. Get the sugar in there.
And look at those amount of chilies.
But they're not hot chilies. These are mild chilies, and they've been de-seeded. There is an option here where you could puree your mustard seeds up a little bit to release a little bit more of the mustard flavour. All I have to do really is let that sit, and yes, you must stir for probably 2 hours, I'd say, till it's mush.
Okay. Well, this has been in an oven at 160 degrees for 40 minutes. And it just started life like this, with a few pieces of herb and some extra virgin olive oil into the oven. And what you have is this fabulous dish, and it becomes syrupy here.
That's good. I thought
And
you'd
then-
sugared it.
No. And then I would make that into another kind of a salad, this time with a bit of goat's curd. Once again, we're talking about this great produce, tomatoes that can be bought commercially. Even these, if you
Maggie.
seek them out, they're like syrup.
They're
Really like
lollies.
syrup.
They're like little lollies.
But these fantastic tomatoes, you have to either grow them yourself or really source a great producer.
Or steal them
They
off
are-
Maggie.
They are around.
With a particular Asian vegetable, which is snake beans. I really like snake beans because they actually have a sweetness that's a little bit different to a green bean, a runner bean, and there's less cutting for the chefs, so I like that. Inside a snake bean, basically, if you let it mature, is a black-eyed pea. You dry that out, And we all know the black-eyed pea, and we're probably more familiar with that than the actual snake bean or long bean itself. And they're in a lot of Chinese restaurants. They're used in Indian cookery. I think people aren't scared of them anymore. I used to always see people pick them up and put them back down. I said my favourite thing to serve with my kusundi is these guys, snake beans.
I love them.
Oh, I just love them. And I got a couple of criteria actually. I went out to the market yesterday and got these, and I often used to get seduced in, oh, they're so long,
Yes.
I've got to get them.
And snake them around the plate
Yeah.
and really, yeah.
But I've recently discovered that I actually like them when they're a little bit shorter and paler green. This is my preference. And the reason is
They're
that they're so sweet. And one of my tests for the short one is that's probably young enough. If it ties, it's young enough to get away with very little cooking. Whereas a green bean, I hate a crunchy green bean normally.
Okay, well, I'm making another kind of jam, and mine is a tomato and saffron jam. I've made a syrup of verjuice, saffron and sugar. I've got the onions and the garlic and the olive oil. I'm just putting in the tomatoes. Now, 2 teaspoons of salt, and then I'm going to pour everything in together and just let it cook.
So that's just to sit and wait one as well.
I sit and wait for about an hour and a half to 2 hours, where the tomato becomes really jammy consistency. But I'll just hand over to you now, because
Okay, so
That
that
has
just
to
simmers
ju-
away. I'd like to go a little bit further, but you can already start to see it looks very much like a kusundi. So I said I'd serve it with snake beans. So all I've got here is a very, very simple thing. There's a few cloves of garlic, I don't know, a couple of 100 grams of snake beans. And all
all
I'm going
tied
to do...
up in bows.
Oh, you're never going to live that down, are you? I wouldn't have been able to fit them in the pot. That's my excuse. So a deep fry at about probably 160 will do this. There is a fair bit of sugar in these beans, just to get a bit of flavour into the oil, and you could serve those garlic cloves as well. The only thing to watch out for here, obviously, is that these will spit a little bit. I reckon they'll probably need, what, 3 minutes? And they're turning colour, which is a good start. I reckon that's getting very close. This blistering's a dead giveaway that the sugars are converting, and it's gone a bit limp. So, you know, that's a good sign. Okay, get these out, get them to sit there, and then a bit of the kusundi. I might do this with a little bit of control. And I reckon a bit of rice is nice with
Okay.
this.
Well, I can imagine rice with it.
This is a massive quantity, but don't forget that's all going to go into pickling jars and be put down.
And it doesn't have to be refrigerated?
Nah, this one's got
So it could-
so much sugar and vinegar that, you know, it really, really is a preservative. But Maggie, you're going to have to take my word for it that, you know, they're quite tasty little suckers.
I will. I trust you.
No, don't eat, because the chilli is really quite strong, Maggie.
I should have kept a bean aside without the sauce, because I love those beans.
Oh.
Is it good?
Well, you could probably... No.
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 I don't want to trust it.
But the sweetness and vinegar and heat and the tomato's still evident, so it's good. I'm happy with that.
Well, when I consider that I've taken the same kind of journey, but without the chili, and I've used verjuice instead of vinegar and the saffron, and see this beautiful golden colour from that 2 hours of cooking.
God, it's like a marmalade.
It is like a marmalade, a sweet sour marmalade.
Oh, I can imagine that with couscous, like you said.
With couscous and some aubergine or, you know, all sorts of vegetables.
That just keeps going too. The saffron just beautiful.
Well, we've done well with tomatoes.
Yeah, no, that's great. That's tomatoes every way.
From simple to complex.
That's probably got to be my favourite. Just a bit of curd.
Oh, I think just the colour and the texture.
Just
and
a salad.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just a salad, nothing else.
Damn, that is tasty. I want one of those black ones.
Let's just. Oh, and the green, the yellow,
Oh,
the gold.
gorgeous.